Picture this. Two guys talking about true crime,
Weird mysteries.
horror stories,
But the conversation is light.
and mostly funny.
and sometimes naughty.
This is
A
Scriptsalog.
Spotify exclusive.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Glenn, and we're serving huge portions of horror and true crime twice a week.
We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied.
And you'll be begging for more.
Char.
Check us out.
This is Scriptsalog, available exclusively on Spotify.
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars, 6 and take your dome. This podcast is a member of Bunk Collective.
You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Come on, wild thing.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTV Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Okay, welcome to the pod. I'm not going to do my intro anymore because I have my episode yesterday. If you have a bit listened to it, you can listen on that episode of the podcast. Let's get down to business. Welcome to the MPA Show Podcast. Okay, it's a very, very important day for fans this Sunday on the WWE Network. And of course, this new platform, and we have the information now on Disney Plus. So I can share the news for all of you guys. Breaking news. This is a first on the podcast. Yep, we can make this official. WWE Survivor Series WarGames will be televised live, not only on the WWE Network, but on Disney Plus Philippines. Yep, you heard that right. WWE Survivor Series will be televised live on Disney Plus. So ito, magtatanong kayo, ano po ang mangyayari sa WWE Network doon po sa ating de facto WWE Network? To be honest, I don't know yet. To be honest, hindi ko pa alam kung ano yung mangyayari with our WWE Network. But I can assure you guys na our WWE programming will be televised. If hindi man exclusive on Disney Plus, we're going to get the WWE Network as well. Hindi pa nga rin natin alam where or when the closure will take place or kung kailan ba nila isasara eh. Kasi based on the information that we got on the Disney Plus, the network is still open as of today. Also, we got another information that wala pang information halos na hindi pa isasara. So, here's the info that we got. We're going to get 2 languages for the Survivor Series WarGames this Sunday on Disney Plus and also WWE Network. If you're watching on the network, well it's good for you. But, like what I said on a few weeks ago, sinabi ko na to, na if I were you, hindi na ako magso-subscribe through the WWE Network. I'm just going to wait this announcement. And now we got this announcement for Disney Plus. And I guess it's now official. WWE Survivor Series WarGames will be televised live on Disney Plus Philippines. So we are the second Disney Plus provider that we're getting this WWE broadcasting deal. It's the first is in Indonesia, where the WWE programming is available in two languages, Bahasa Indonesia and English. In this case, in the Philippines, we're getting most likely two languages on our WWE network, which is English and the Tagalog commentary on Disney Plus. So of course, we're done with the speculations, we're done with the rumors, we're done solving problems. Let's get down to the conclusion here. WWE Disney Plus deal is alive and alive in the Philippines. Okay, so that's our first bit of information for today's episode of the podcast. Let's continue with some WWE talk. Our full gear will be discussed on the second half of this show. First, let's start with the World Cup updates. So we have this World Cup. Yep, I'm still annoyed on how they present this World Cup on Fox. And the information that I got about that is broadcaster kasi ng World Cup in the United States is Fox, no? So that's why they're thinking this up na this show is exclusive on Fox. Parang pinipisa talaga nila na this thing is WWE World Cup on Fox, and since this is exclusive on SmackDown then parang pinipisil talaga nila na this broadcast is exclusive to Fox and this thing is exclusive to Fox. Most likely that's like that. Okay. So we're going to do the broadcast now. Formality. Di na. Okay. Continue tayo with the World Cup. Here's an updates about the World Cup. This is not the football, by the way. Okay, we got the World Cup updates. So, Butch defeated Sami Zayn in the main event of SmackDown. Thanks to the Bloodline. And of course, thanks to his partners as well. Butch, Rich Holland, Sheamus, and McIntyre. Then we got a brawl that we're waiting for. And Kevin Owens was introduced as the fifth member of Team Brutes. And on this week's episode of SmackDown, we got this, tawag ba dito? We got the confrontation stuff and they warned Bloodline about it and Sami Zayn appeared and tawag dito. Parang walang pakialam si Sami Zayn. Well, mamaya pag-usapan natin our predictions bago tayo maglokohan pa dito. Sige. The other match is Ricochet defeated Mustafa Ali on another Survivor Series World Cup match. And here's the updated brackets of the upcoming World Cup. Braun Strowman will face Ricochet in the semifinals of the World Cup. And Santos Escobar will face Sami Zayn in another World Cup match. With the winner will face each other for the finals. So, but pinipisil ko si Braun lately. They are teasing that Braun Strowman will win the World Cup. I don't like the idea. Pero wala tayong magagawa eh. Dito na nga lang may pag-asa manalo yung USA sa World Cup eh. Wala eh. I don't watch football. I don't watch soccer, kung naman yung tawag nyo dyan sa football na yan. But, let's face it, hindi mananalo ang USA sa football or soccer. Wag na kayo umasa. Dito na lang may pag-asa ang US. At least Braun can bring the crown to the USA. And hindi nga lang sa World Cup. Okay, let's continue with our stuff. So we got Raw now, Judgment Day versus Brawling Brutes. That was a pretty good opening on this week's Raw. It's very fun. I don't think we deserve this approach. We deserve this stuff. And I don't know if kailangan pa natin discussin ng mahaba ito. Pero okay naman. looks interesting. Kailangan pa ng konting himas pa. Pero, bakit kailangan pa natin ng ganitong fillers? Like, we don't deserve fillers. Like, 3 linggo na nga lang yung build up ng WarGames. Why we are getting fillers, man? Like, for fuck's sake. We don't need this stuff. Okay, continue tayo with Raw. Adin? So, si Omos, he defeated Johnny Gargano. Yep, you heard that right. Si Omos ay bayad ni The Miz. Kasi, di ba, may planong Miz versus Gargano on this week's Raw. Hindi siya nangyari. And now we got this. Okay naman siya sa akin. It makes sense. It may continuity kasi to. Kaya ang masabi ko, it makes sense to me na we're getting this almost Gargano thing. And it's all good to me. And then, Ali versus Theory was great. In my opinion, the Corbin Drew McIntyre was great. However, ewan ko yung team ni Corbin, hindi siya nag-workout sa akin sa character na to with JBL. Ewan ko kung sa inyo nagwo-workout. Sa akin talaga hindi talaga nagwo-workout itong character na to ni Corbin. Wow. Corbin is I can say Corbin is yung tawag ba dito, all-rounder. Pero I don't think this character works on his team. And okay, may talker nga siya in JBL. Okay sa akin yun. Pero yung team song kasi na pinapatong ko sa kanya, parang hindi bagay. No? Yun ang ko dito. I know this is a small touch of Corbin. Of me poking Corbin and his gimmick. Alam niyo naman, pinapoke ko din si Corbin dito almost every time on the show. But, wala eh. Ito yung Corbin na sa tingin ko magsasalba sa kanya. And pag hindi pa siya nasalba, kasalanan niya na yun. Just like Zoe Stark, itong heel turn ni Zoe Stark, lagi ko natatandaan, if hindi pa din mag-succeed yung heel turn ni Zoe Stark na to, it's Zoe Stark's problem, not WWE's problem anymore. Okay, continue tayo with, ano pa ba? So, the main event of this week's Raw was a Asuka versus Rhea Ripley match with a WarGames implication. So, the men's implications is a tag match. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre versus the Usos on SmackDown tomorrow. And of course, heels will win that one. I'm sure about that. And ayun, so we got the main event, Rhea versus Asuka. This is technically their first match since WrestleMania. And I'm good at it. I love the match. However, medyo nawala ako sa ayos ito. Parang it's kind of comfortable to the point na mas gusto ko maging komportable watching this match. And maybe it's kinda exaggerating from me. But yeah, regardless, it was a good match between Asuka and Rhea. Rhea Ripley gets the win for her team sa WarGames. And so good to me. It's all good touch to me, always. Pero yeah, it is what it is. Rhea Ripley getting the win makes sense. And I'm good at it. And ano pa ba? What's next for damage control aside from that? Mamaya pag-usapan pa natin on the prediction stuff on our predictions portion of the episode, most likely in the third half na lang para masama natin in one episode yung Overdrive, yung Full Gear, Fallout of Dynamite. Then yeah. NXT. Let's go to NXT. So Cora Jade versus Wendy Chu. Tangina, alam nyo, buti pa si Cora Jade, nag-evolve yung turn niya. Buti pa siya nag-evolve sa heel turn niya. Nung una nag-awkwardan ako sa karakter ni Cora Jade as a heel. Kasi hindi bagay sa kanya eh. Mukha siyang good baby face na medyo namumukhaan kong hindi kaya mag-heel turn. Si Roxanne Perez, mukha siyang face talaga eh. She's perfect for maybe a chasing face, ganyan. Ikaw yung nag-chase ng championship. Ganun yung bagay kay Roxanne. And kay Cora, hindi bagay sa kanya yun. It's very obvious at this point. And I'm good ang good that Cora Jade. At least si Cora Jade nag-evolve yung turn niya eh. Si Zoe Stark, hindi eh. I don't know why I'm poking Zoe Stark here. Parang may point talaga na hindi nag-evolve yung turn na to ni Zoe Stark. I don't know it makes sense to people who watches or listens to this podcast. But hindi talaga nag-evolve eh. At all, hindi siya nag-evolve. Mag-evolve man siya, pero hindi siya aabot sa punto na sige, mag-revolve, gandahan mo yung character work mo towards your heel turn. And hindi mo rin alam kung ano yung mangyayari. Okay, thank God there's Nikita Lyons and she's saving her her heel turn. But for fuck's sake, I hope na that's the last gaps of Zoe Stark as a character. And if it is, hindi siya nagwo-work. Kung hindi pa rin mag-work to, it's not WWE's fault. It's Zoe Stark's fault. So we screwed Zoe. Then, ayun. So we got scripts. So they revealed that the scripts is basically Reginald or Reggie. Reggie yung character niya nung bago siya mag-repackage. I can say the presentation is great. However, I'm expecting a group rather than a one-member stable. Mas nag-expect ako ng group rather than this. Pero okay naman siya sa akin. Regardless, I'm okay with this. However, ang problema ko nga lang, mas nag-expect ako ng group rather than one member lang. Kasi scripts yan eh. Parang iniisip ng tao, syempre, it's a stable. Pero, okay. We're getting prefed. But yeah, it is what it is. Kung ano pa yung asahan nyo, huwag yun ang asahan. Ganun lang yun. Then, finally, we got the main event of NXT before we go to our first commercial. It's Wesley defending the title against Carmelo Hayes. And I can say that was a pretty good match. I love the match. And after the match, Dijak attacked Wesley. Yep. There's a reduction on the name. It's kind of understandable since there's two Dominics in the building now. There's Dominic Mysterio on Raw, part of the Judgment Day. Yeah, it's kind of understandable to me that Dominic or Dijak is no longer using Dominic Dijakovic. It's understandable. It's understandable in my case that we're getting that one. Pero, sana lang, ayusin nila, magkaroon sana ng explanation. You know, NXT is known for explaining the gimmicks. And for sure, makakuha naman tayo ng explanation about this. No? So, yeah. That's for my NXT thoughts. We're getting the reveal of the 5 participants for the men and women Iron Survivor Challenge for NXT Deadline. And Apollo Crews will challenge Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship at Deadline. Parehas na official na on this week. So, we're going to give you more updates on that once the episode was televised. And yun, this is it for our podcast. Ayun. So, we're going to take our first commercial break. Let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
I can't. I'm sick.
Weh, yung tataa.
Boo, you whore. Di lockdown pa rin.
Huh? 2021 na.
So, anong gagawin natin?
Eh di, magstay na lang sa house at makinig sa Astrology, the podcast. With new episodes every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
I loved you then, I love you now, and I will continue loving you until I can no longer.
You took a part of me until I had nothing left.
The old me had to die so the new me could be reborn.
I didn't deserve that pain. I deserve love, just not from her.
Today, I choose myself.
I wanted to tell you, but you weren't there.
These are the stories
that I wish you heard. Streaming weekly episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
Yan, ayan. We got the audio now back. Ayun, welcome back to the podcast. In case you missed our episode of the podcast yesterday, Troy Gonzalez of Women's Wrestling Talk joined the podcast for our discussion of Stardom, Historic is Over, and of course our thoughts and reactions about the Women's WarGames. Kaya hindi ko na ganun diniscuss dito yung WarGames thoughts ko about the women's side. Hindi na namin diniscuss kasi doon na namin kinary over yung episode na yon. In case you missed that episode, I hope you all can listen on that episode, which is available on your favorite podcast platforms and on the podcast app. And by the way, just a shout out to Troy Gonzalez. Troy, I hope you all are listening right now from the Women's Wrestling Talk and on his own podcast, the Turning Heel Podcast. Ayan. I missed that episode. Okay, so let's go back to our regular programming. Let's talk about AEW now. I list my thoughts about this pay-per-view. First thing, sakit. Ito na naman yung sakitan ko when it comes to AEW pay-per-views. Number one, tangina, yung pay-per-views nila, sana naman pare, bawasan naman nila yung duration ng pay-per-views. Their pay-per-views per event lasts 5+ hours. Tony Khan, do something about your fucking pay-per-views. For fuck's sake, man. Come on. Hindi naman tatagal ng 6 na oras mahigit yung pads mo sa arena. Kasi ano yun eh. Ayun, nagpapasok sila na 4 p.m. For example, 7 p.m. yung start ng buy-in o yung 0 hour. Then, tatagal na yun hanggang 1 a.m. na, midnight sa US. And, Tony Khan, I know 4 times na nga lang kayo nagpe-pay-per-view, but stacking pay-per-views, overstacking their shows doesn't make the shows better. But in fairness, with full gear, pero di pa rin ibig sabihin nun, i-justify natin yung ng sistema na to ni Tony Khan. Basura pa rin yung sistema niya when it comes to pay-per-view. Yes, I'm going to say this for the 9th time. AEW pay-per-views are fucking exhausting. I said this a lot of times on this podcast, on this platform, but AEW pay-per-views are fucking exhausting as fuck. Tony, I don't know what I'm going to say to you anymore about that stuff. Okay, so let's start with the main event. Main event is MJF challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. And I was right about the outcome about this match. The match was fine as fuck. Okay, I'm fine with this match. Then, suddenly, disaster came. Of course, I know the predictability of this match. Ando na yun. Given na yun sa akin, yung predictability nitong main event na to. But, ewan ko, I'm not going to say na they delivered about this. They delivered this match. The win of MJF, yep, they delivered. However, the story here is very, it's very overused. Na MJF is going to be a face but is turning heel again. Parang sobrang overused naman na itong storyline na to. Like, di ka pa nagsasawa sa ganong tactic on your And we're using the same story in 3 matches. I hate to say this, but why we're doing this? Why we're getting this story just a month ago? Si Daniel Garcia yung gumawa nito. And I don't know anymore, and I hate when AEW does this all the time. And even WWE does this all the time, and I hate it as well. And I don't know anymore kung bakit ganito yung gusto ni Tony Khan when it comes to his events. I know, limit na yung events nila eh. I know. Pero, as much as Tony Khan limits his events, ba't mo naman, aside doon, bakit mo naman pinagsisiksikan yung ganyan? Wala na bang creative? Hindi ka na ba creative masyado? O nasasapawan ka na eh. Ganun lang yun. I'm not going to say out loud about this MKF win. Yep, MKF really deserves it. But on the way they made the story or they introduced the story of William Regal turning on John Moxley, man, it's it's an ass. Let's face it, ass yun. That thing was a fucking ass. And alam mo, yep, I love the sequence. I love MJF turning as well. Hindi naman technically turning, but it doesn't make sense to me na they're just they're using everything for your product. Like, man. Ang daming beses na ginamit yung trick of the book na yon. Tapos, ganun na naman yung gagamitin mo when it comes to this story. And I hate it. As much as I say this, I hate it. And when I say I hate it, it's technically hate. Not only for the company, but instead, it's for all. Applicable yun sa lahat. Kasi I hate how they build the story. I hate how they introduce this shit. I hate how kung paano nila ginawa yun. I hate it. As much as I love WWE and this stuff na to, there's a lot of things to hate when it comes to AEW, on how they build the storylines. And regardless on that, let's go to the match itself. It was fun. I'm going to say this very straightforward. The MJF John Moxley thing is fun, and I'm kind of interested on William Regal on the fallout of medyo interested ako on the fallout of Full Gear. In the case of William Regal, I'm going to cut that shit. And medyo, it's kind of interesting to me to see what's going to happen next on the story between BBC or BCC and this William Regal thing. It's kind of interesting, totoo lang. Then let's continue with the women's title, Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. And Jamie Hayter won the title. Yep, I love the match. I love the title change here. It kind of makes sense to me. Jamie Hayter is over as fuck. Mas over pa kay Britt. And she really deserves it. And announced then on Dynamite that ang tawag dito, yung reigns nila Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter are now acknowledged as world title reigns. And ayun, di na nila ini-insert yung word o yung interim thing dito. Yep, yung mga frustrations ko sa Twitter o sa Facebook, lumalabas na rin dito sa TV, and at least they, nakinig naman sila sa fans na fuck the interim thing, dropped it. We don't need interim champions then, since there's a lot of women in the roster who's waiting for the champion Thunder Rosa then. But yep, they did the best thing right now is to drop the women's title or drop the interim thing. And Jamie Hayter is now the undisputed champion. So yeah, I'm going to repeat the stuff. Renee Paquette announced that Thunder Rosa and AEW mutually agreed to strip Rosa of the AEW women's title due to her injury. Toni Storm's reign was acknowledged as well as a AEW Women's Championship. It's good for Toni Storm. It's good for Jamie as well. And the bad thing about this is we are few weeks away from a Jamie Orton Jamie Orton storyline. If you know the Evolution thing in 2004, most likely we're going to get this in 2022 in AEW. Going back, the Tony Storm Jamie Heater match was fun. I love it. Hindi naman ako gano'n nag-expect ng change doon. Pero yeah, I love it. Samoa Joe defeated both Powerhouse Hobbs, and Wardlow, TNT champion, to become the TNT and the ROH Television champion in the process. It's kind of unexpected to me. I don't know. As much as I love Joe, parang ito na yung sinasabi ko na isa sa mga unnecessary matches on the card. But yeah, I love the surprise here, the win of Samoa Joe. We are now expecting a winner take all at final battle between Samoa Joe and Wardlow para at least one-on-one na lang sila. No? Yan lang naman sa akin. I don't really mind what's the match itself. I love the match. Anyways. Ayun. So, eto. Isa pang hindi ko gusto. Aside sa eto. Death Triangle versus the Elite. Yup, the Elite was defeated by Death Triangle. And here's the catch. You know, you don't like this, man. That Triangle versus the Elite is now a best of 7 matchups. Like, we don't ask for this. Fuck it. We don't ask for this shit. Come on. I love the Elite. I love that triangle. But we don't ask for this. Come on. What's wrong with this Tony Khan booking stuff? Alam mo, Tony Khan doing Tony Khan things anymore. And hindi ko na maintindihan why Tony Khan does this. And we don't ask for this, man. For fuck's sake, we don't ask for this. I've saying this repeatedly. Just you guys to understand. We don't ask for this best of 7. Yun na nga sinasabi ko eh. Best of 7 kayo ng best of 7 eh. Sana lang sunod-sunod eh. Baka nga mamaya mag 3-on-1 blue na naman yan. Okay. But regardless, the updated standings as of today's kahapon's Dynamite was 2-0. Okay, expect na naman ba tayo ng 3-1? If you know, you know. Kasi it kinda reminds me of a NBA team who fucked up after of that 3-1 situation. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the cards. So, yeah, I love the Tag Tyros match. The Acclaimed, Swerve in Our Glory. Swerve in Our Glory no more, as Heath Lee refused to hit. Tawag dito. Ano bang tamang dito? Nung i-hit niya sino nga, nakalimutan ko ano ba to? Si Anthony Bowens ba to? I'm not sure about who the fuck it is. But tinatanong ni Swerve o inutusan ni Swerve si Keith na alin daw yung koko. 'Di ba? You know, the scissor thing. And Keith Lee refused, and ayun, tinulak niya na si Swerve ally. Then he decided to walk out of the match, and Swerve in Our Glory no more. Ayun, so yeah, the story na gi-split na yung Swerve in Our Glory is now there. And we got a backstage segment from this week's Dynamite that nag-confront sila nagharap sila in one another, and Keith Lee or Swerve asked for privacy. He decided to cover the camera, and wala na pinakitang footage about it. Sana bukas sa Rampage mapakita nila. And yeah, let us know ano yung thoughts nyo about that, and I loved it naman regardless. Plus, ayun, Saraya, it's so nice to see Saraya back in the ring. And I'm proud of that. Britt Baker, ayun, minention pa nga sa media scrum ng AEW that Saraya versus Britt is definitely, fantastic. Thanks to Britt now per page or Saraya. Oh, sobrang proud ako doon sa match na 'yon. And it's so nice to see Saraya back on TV. Yep. Ito, Sting Darby versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Man, for fuck's sake, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Ayun, let's continue with the ROH title. Okay. Jericho, you never fails me. But this time, you got me on this. Ayun, I'm going to jinx my sentence on that. He never failed me. He never failed to disappoint me. Mas appropriate yun. Eh ngayon, ito, mas okay to. He never failed me this time. I love the match. Yeah, I know the thing. Alam ko naman magre-retain ito. But yeah, that was fun. That was a fun match. And that was a first for me. I gave Jericho a higher rating. Hindi ko akalain sa buhay ko nagagawin ko yon. And I love it. I love even BBC members or BCC members, Dianson and Claudio fighting as well. And Jericho and Sammy are fighting as well. So I love it. That was a good match for me. Let's talk about the rest of the card, okay? So Jade Cargill defeated Nyla Rose to retain her women's title. Yeah. Or TBS title, yeah. That was expected na. Ayan. Okay. I'm not okay with this. Then on the fallout of Full Gear, Jade Cargill kicked sino nga to? Si Kiera Hogan out of the Baddies kasi tapos na daw yung contract. And yeah, that was a kick out na hindi man lang in-explain. I hope there's an explanation as well on Dynamite or maybe Rampage tomorrow. I hope they're going to explain this on Dynamite or Rampage. Yeah. Then, Jack Perry defeated Luchasaurus in a steel cage match. Okay. Like what I said or like someone said o yung mga podcasts anywhere. Hindi pa to tapos. I'm sure about this. Hindi pa to tapos. We're going to get Christian versus Jack Perry in the near future. But not today. Not on Dynamites anytime soon. We're going to get a final chapter of this anytime soon. So, finally, and by the way, that was fun. Okay? That was a fun cage match. And okay lang. Okay lang siguro for me. That is for me. Okay. The main event of Zero Hour. Yun na lang ang pag-usapan natin for Zero Hour. Eddie Kingston defeated Jun Akiyama in a one-on-one match. Yeah, that was fun. That was a really good match for me. And I loved it. I love how the match goes on the Zero Hour and then pagkatapos nun, Eddie Kingston just decided to waste the time, talk about shit, and even promoting the pay-per-view on PR Live or whatever. They promoted it. 7:53 and they decided to cut him off. So, ayun. So, Dynamite thoughts na lang, konti na lang. So, William Regal, ayun. So, he appeared and they explained that MJF is not there because he shooted something in elsewhere. Movie daw ito or show as far as I know. Hindi ko pa alam kung confirmed na yun. Pero, si show na tinape daw nila during today's Dynamite or that week's Dynamite. Yeah, it makes sense to me. And then nga, si Danielson, pumapagitna siya kay John Moxley at kay William Regal. So, Danielson said na matanda na yung tao, may spine yun sa may diferensya yung spine ni Regal pag inatake niya. So, it makes sense naman kasi totoo naman yun. And, ayun, parang ginagaslight pa nga ni Regal, ay ni Brian Danielson si Regal. Ang theory ko dito, ewan ko ang theory ko, eventually, magto-turn yung buong BBC or BCC kay John Mox. Hindi man ngayon, hindi man sa Winter is Coming, pero may point na magto-turn yung BCC kay John Moxley. And eventually, they're going to adapt MJF or maybe they're not going to adapt MJF. I'm sure about that. And then we got some notes as well. Also, Black is back. They attacked the Acclaimed and also the Factory. So they are winners at this point. We don't know when or we don't know yet kung sila ba ay faces or heels. But malalaman natin the next few days. Okay. Then, so Ricky Starks won the tournament, World Title Tournament, and he will face MJF for the World Title at Winter is Coming December. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. It makes sense to me. But yeah, it is what it is. Reality strikes, MJF wins. Ayun, so yung best of 7 continues on this week's Dynamite. It was fun for me. It's kinda expected na. And we got 2-0 now. And on this match, they made fun of CM Punk since the venue is Chicago. So yeah, expect disaster. There's a lot of carnage on that one. Yung botched na back, yung back shot ni Hangman na binotch ni CM Punk. Yeah, ginawa din nila. So, yep. Then, basically, yung women's title, sinabi ko na kanina. And the main event, Jericho versus Tomohiro Ishii. That was fun, man. Jericho is fucking bleeding on his chest. Man, sunod-sunod yung walang day off si Jericho. May December 10 pa yan sa final battle. And, yeah, that was it. So, konting thoughts pa. So, on, Historic X over, since hindi na namin na-tackle to, the Troy of Women's Wrestling Talk, and of course, yung kanyang podcast, Turning Heel, Kenny Omega returned to New Japan to challenge Will Ospreay for the IWGP United States title at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, the match was made official later on, and yeah, it's gonna be a banger for sure for Ospreay and Omega. And yun, okay naman sa akin. Let's see what's going to happen next. There's a New Japan show pa. And also, speaking of New Japan, we're going to talk about this as well. So, Carl Anderson will defend the title versus his original opponent na si sino nga to, putang ina, tagal kong na-tackle ko, nakalimutan ko na din. First my notes on this, nakalimutan ko din yung opponent niya. Si Hikuleo. Yeah, putang ina eh. Kakaisip ko nung nakaraan. Nakalimutan ko na din. So, ayun, ulitin natin. The match between Carl Anderson versus Hikuleo is now made official as well for December sa World Tag League Finals doon sa Japan din, of course. And there's a bunch of announcements in Japan, so let's discuss it one by one before we go to our scores. So number 1, Wrestle Kingdom was announced, another Wrestle Kingdom on January 21 in Japan, in Yokohama Arena. We don't have the details yet, but ito yung, ang madaling term dito, ito yung Triple Mania ng New Japan. Yung Triple Mania 3, di ba, 2 nights yun, 3 nights pa nga, iba-ibang dates. And we're getting the Triple Mania treatment here in Wrestle Kingdom. So, yeah, yun. We don't have the details yet, back-to-back kasi with this. So, the Great Muta in Noah will make his final match ever in a 6-man tag with Sting and Darby Allin on January 22. So that's few days from now, 2023 as well. And yeah, that's gonna be good as well. Regardless, wala pang announced na opponents on that. So that's gonna be his final match ever in pro wrestling, and mag-take place siya under Noah. Okay. So yeah, that's it for my thoughts about that. We're going to reveal the scores now for Full Gear before we go to our commercial break. Where's my notes? Yeah, got it. So AEW Full Gear as a whole, I can say it's a 3 at least. I can say it's a 3. Okay, ito per match. Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama, 4 out of 5. The trios Ay, wait lang. Nabubulag ata ako. Ayun, tama nga. Yung trios tag titles, I reduced it to 3. Why? I don't like the idea of having the I don't like the best of 7. So I reduced it to 3. And Steel Cage was 3 as well. Okay lang. Okay lang siya sa akin. Medyo nag-reduce ako dito. The TBS was 2. The ROH title was 4. The Saraya Brit 3. The TNT title 3. The tag titles 4. The women's titles 4. Tag titles, yeah, I said that earlier. I can say it's 4 as well, no? Tama ba sinabi ko? Oh, 4 din. Then the world title is 4.5. The point 5 of it was the predictability of this match. So that's why doon ko na lang binigay yung minus. Na. So yeah, that's it for my full gear review. Next week on the podcast, at least we're going to reveal all of the details of this year's Bash Awards. We're going to do a hybrid format this year na ako magbibigay na rin ako ng klase ko dito sa mga thoughts nyo. Pero kakaroon pa rin tayo ng people's choice, no? Medyo babawasan ko lang yung mga people's choice categories natin. And we're going to reveal everything on December 2nd for our Survivor Series review on that stuff. And we're going to start the votings by Saturday or Sunday on that. Then, yeah, we're going to continue with our podcast. And when we come back, we're going to predict Survivor Series WarGames. And for now, let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Naguulat mula sa shore na kasing pretty ko.
Bringing you the latest and greatest.
And diving deep into the cool waters
of BLs and GLs.
And every kind of love there is.
We are the Shippers.
Sail with us as we watch our favorite queer love stories.
And update you about the latest every week.
Kaya tara, sakay na as we sail the open seas.
With new episodes Mondays and Wednesdays on all major podcast streaming platforms.
Sakay na you. Let's go.
Bakit mabaho ang utot?
Lulubog na ba ang Pilipinas?
Mahihain ba ang makaya? Bakit bumabagyo sa Pinas?
Mga katanungang bumabagabag sa kaisipan ni Juan, halika, bigyan natin ng mga scientificong kasagutan. Ito ang inyong gurong lakan mula sa Bulacan, Sir Red. At ito ang Hainay na Tagham the Podcast Year 2. Pakinggan sa lahat ng major podcast streaming platforms. Tara, matuto, magsaliksik, magkaroon ng dagdag na kaalaman. Haynayan, magpakailanman.
Okay, welcome back to the show. You're still listening to the MT Show podcast, a wrestling podcast. It's time to predict the Survivor Series WarGames. Yep, we keep reminding you that Survivor Series WarGames will be televised live, not only on the WWE Network, and we're going to watch it on Disney Plus. So the broadcast deal is still available as well on Disney Plus. And of course, the WWE Network, we don't know yet what's the future of our WWE Network. We're going to discuss that more in the coming weeks once the deal was made official. So let's start the reveal of the predictions first. Let's start with Theory. Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley in a triple threat match for the United States title. We can assure that retain ito para magkaroon ng one-on-one si Theory at si Seth. So, yeah, it makes sense to me na retain ito. Ayan, so I'm going to pick retain for sure. Then Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. Yeah, for the women's title, I can say this is retain automatically. Retain daw, formality na lang ito. So I can say it's retain. The AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Yeah, it's gonna be good for sure at WarGames. Yeah, I can say na AJ needs the win kasi bali-balita na AJ Styles is on a streak, pay-per-view streak na rin. Mahaba-haba na rin yung pay-per-view streak niya. Kaya I'm going to pick AJ as well. Ito, WarGames. So let's talk about WarGames now. First is the Women's War Games, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Vincent Mayhem, or kung ano man pangalan niya, hindi ko rin alam. According to some rumors, yung Minchin means crazy. And thanks to this Minchin name, napapakinggan ko na ulit yung crazy ng 4 minutes. Okay, Minchin Mayhem. And the final participant is yet to be announced. Hindi pa siya na-announce. Tomorrow daw siya i-announce sa SmackDown. So, versus Bailey, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Nick Cross, and Rhea Ripley. So, and take note, Rhea Ripley and her team is holding the advantage of the War Games match. So, okay, I'm going to say this loud and clear. Team Bianca doesn't need the win here. Bailey or Rhea, Team Bailey needs the win here just to pull Bianca out of the picture. And Bailey versus Bianca needs to happen again. Then Royal Rumble. Eventually, Bailey and Rhea or either of them will win the title at the Royal Rumble. Yeah. Then men's War Games match. The main event of War Games. Roman Reigns, The Usos, Sami Zayn, and Solo Sikoa versus Sheamus, Brawley Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. We don't know who's holding the advantage yet. But yeah, I hope na Bloodline mag-handle ng advantage para manalo yung faces dito. Yeah, it is what it is. Ganun lang naman. So, if heels yung mananalo sa men's, women's faces, o vice versa lang yan. So, I'm going to pick the team nila Sheamus dito. The women's, I'm going to pick team Damage Control. No? Let me know your predictions for this year's War Games as I plug the stuff again. So, imagine more WWE on Disney Plus as WWE Survivor Series will be televised in 2 languages, English and Tagalog. 9 a.m. only on WWE Network and on our Disney Plus. Let's go to our picks. Of course, you know what's up on this. I said explanation on this stuff a few episodes ago. So, the wrestler of the week is MJF and of course the AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter. A match of the week goes to Masha Slamovich versus Jordan Grace in a last woman standing match at Overdrive. And Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama from Full Gear Zero Hour. And again, I want to thank Troy Gonzalez of Women's Wrestling Talk and his podcast Turning Heel for joining me last week on the podcast, or this week rather, on our first episode of the week. I want to thank Troy, of course, on that. And despite of our busy schedules, napagkasundo namin yan. No? And then, of course, if you missed that episode, I hope you all are listening on that episode. On that, we talked about Stardom over there. And that's why hindi ko na siya ganong tinako dito sa show, no? Today. So, yun, if you haven't listened yet to the podcast episode, the podcast is available on your favorite podcast platforms and on the podcast app. This podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on the rest of the podcast platforms and on the podcast app. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, and on YouTube at the MTG Show Pod. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel, https www.youtube.com/the MTG Show Pod. You can donate and support the podcast on ganknow.com/the MTG Show Pod. You can get exclusive announcements na ilang araw bago ma-reveal dito sa podcast. You can get exclusive announcements and of course surprises on Gank. If you subscribe at least $1 a month, you can access to our subscriber-only content, announcements, and bunch of deals that you can make on Kank. And of course, tulong na rin yun here on the podcast. You can join our discussions as well. For more podcasts, visit our website, thebunkph.com. You can support us as a collective at the Bunk PH on all of the social media platforms at the Bunk PH. You can join our Discord server for Bunk Collective, dsc.gg/bunk. All of the links is available on our linktr.ee/the MTG Show Podcast. Follow me on social media, the Twitter and the Instagram. I hope Twitter dies anyways. At AG Penera. And support our local wrestling scene, MWF Noche Buena, with the main event, Jake De Leon versus Fabio Makisig in a Manila Rules match for the MWF Championship. The tickets is still available on Ticket to Me or ManilaWrestling.com. I hope you all can support Action Novela as well. Yanknow.com/Manila Wrestling Fed. In behalf of the Bunk Collective, in behalf of DJ Yuki of the Kingdom Podcast, this has been the MTA Show Podcast, episode 138, in cooperation with Bunk Collective. See you on the next episode. I hope there's a special episode ulit next week. Ayun, so yeah, stay safe, stay Russell. See you on the next episode of the podcast. We're out. Bye-bye.